What's up, Victoria? It's Victoria. Today I wanted to play with some new to me makeup, revisit some new to me makeup, and do a full face of newish to me face, the new makeup, and we're gonna do it. I'm gonna talk you through this because I have now tried the product a couple times, but I've not applied it on camera. So I'm gonna do different prep for it, and it is the Dior Stick Foundation, the Dior Forever Skin Perfect Face Stick, and I bought the shade 0N. As you saw in my trying Trixie makeup video, that did not go well on my nose, but it also doesn't do really well on my forehead. The first time I tried it, I was using the Victoria Beckham primer. The second time I tried it, I tried the MAC primer or the MAC strobe cream. And this time I'm going to try the Merit Great Skin Priming Moisturizer because it's a little bit more of a soft matte finish of a primer. I am thinking that might be helpful, and I'm just gonna apply it on the center of my face. The thing about this Dior foundation that is really baffling to me so far is that it looks, I used to talk about this a lot on my channel. So I talk about kissing distance. Kissing distance would be like when basically what you were seeing during the Trixie eye makeup application that I was doing. That's kissing distance. But at a normal distance away from my face, I think it looks really good, except my nose looked bad either way. But like this foundation looks so good. If I wear it and I stay this far away from the camera, you would think that my skin looked fantastic. Then you zoom in and you kind of get to like see the details of it, and it looks pretty bad. Like a lot of foundations like don't look their best when you're that close to someone's face. Most of the time, they also look bad from like this far away, or there's like something that you can notice about it. But like this one looks like heavenly from this far away, and it looks garbage close up, and I don't really know how that happens. So we're gonna try a couple of different things with this foundation that I haven't really tried yet. I am gonna use the Sisley Blur Expert on my nose. I did not apply the Merit Great Skin to my nose. I just applied it here and then the center of my forehead, and then whatever was left I kind of worked into the skin. I also have freshly applied my skincare at the time of filming. In theory, it should be this foundation's best go. I did do a quick poll on my Instagram, meaning I just asked people on Instagram if they had tried this product already. What were their thoughts on it? Have they had the same issue I have? A couple of things about this. I've been thinking a lot about Dior this year, which is why I bought this. And some people had asked for my opinion on it. A lot of people told me it was great. I'll give it a try and I'll let my audience know. It's a terrible shade range. Thus far, I have applied it directly to my skin from the container. The component is interesting. It's very similar to their contour stick. Their contour stick is like matte black with some shiny black. That's gorgeous. It's also seemingly, like when you pick them both up, it feels more luxurious than this does. This is a little more expensive than the contour. My thought here and now and today is to apply the product with a brush from the thing to see if that is helpful. So let me get a brush and we'll get going. I'm gonna take my Sonia G Jumbo Base. I'm gonna apply some to my brush, and then I'm gonna just blend it into the skin. I also have noticed it clings to dry patches, and you can tell when you're up close, you can like see it clinging to dry patches. But again, at a distance, it's like you can't tell, and it looks really good. I'm getting like a more of a skin tint coverage wise applying it this way, so it's gonna take some layering. I feel like thus far, I have gotten a medium coverage at most. I'm going to stop with half of my face so you can see the amount of coverage I just got. I think it cancels out redness really well. I think, like, obviously, look at this side of my face. You can tell it has foundation on it. You can tell there's coverage. The first thing it kind of reminds me of and finish is the Patrick Ta foundation, especially freshly applied. The Patrick Ta foundation to me looks like you've just freshly applied skincare, which I did not that long ago, but it's like I just applied skincare and I have perfect skin, and like it just all of the benefits of the skincare are on my face. You can see a healthy glow on my cheek. I don't feel like it's too dewy. I feel like it's definitely just like a healthy looking glow. And then I applied some to my forehead and my nose. It's so bad on my nose. It's just so bad. So the first time I applied it to my nose, I had already applied some like other concealers and stuff on my nose. So I didn't think it got the best try in that Trixie video, but it's still doing it. It's not looking its best on my nose. And then my forehead looks a lot better than it ever has applying it the way I just did. But it does seem to want to get caught in my pores. I would say if you have large pores or a lot of texture that product gets caught in, I think that this would be an easy pass for you. It's beautiful, but in my opinion, so far, it reminds me of the Patrick Ta foundation. The Patrick Ta foundation is one of my favorite foundations, and the Patrick Ta foundation doesn't look bad on parts of my face, where this looks bad on parts of my face. I'm gonna apply it from the stick to my face, and I'm not putting anything under my eyes. I'm gonna apply concealer today. I still think it looks bad on my nose, but it does look better than it did in the Trixie video. It's not looking how I want it to look. Historically though, and I've discussed this on my channel, foundation and my nose don't often get along. But up until this foundation, using the Sisley Blur Expert on my nose has been incredibly helpful, but this is just not doing. I've had some people in my comment section say, try using an eyeshadow primer on my nose. That's something to keep in mind as like something to try alternatively. We'll see what happens after powdering. The forehead's looking okay, but you can tell it's getting caught in some of my pores. But sometimes when I powder, it fixes it. Sometimes when I powder it, it will make it worse. But Fix Plus has seemingly been able to bring whatever happens right there home with most foundations. And this one, it's not doing it as well. But like, look, see, the thing is, here, it's a beautiful fountain. Like here, right here, and kind of like only right here is it a beautiful foundation. Everywhere else is kind of iffy. I've been told that stick foundations tend to be better for people who have dry skin. But my experience historically is that a lot of stick foundations are pretty dry. This is really emollient and I think it applies right away. I think this might be better for people with dry skin overall. It does get caught on dry patches. If you exfoliate and like you don't have dry patches very often, it might be good. I don't know. Beautifully flawed. Like this product is beautifully flawed. I really want to love it. It goes without saying, but sometimes it needs to be said. Ultimately, I would love to love every single product that I put onto my face. It just doesn't work out that way. Like it just doesn't work out. It's not always going to be a good product. What I think I want to do, I said this in another video, but I do want to do some videos where I'm comparing new makeup to me to makeup I already have. And I think this would be a really good thing to put up against the Patrick Ta. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, but I still want you to be a little bit close since we're doing application today. But I've applied this concealer before and it's a beautiful concealer. It's the Decorte Tone Perfecting Palette in 00. I love this little thing. I have been choosing it a lot of times to do my full face. I have also been reaching for it a lot to cover what's left of my brow hairs after shaving with that orange one. I think I do need like a stronger orange for it to be the most effective, but I'm using it. So I think that's positive. I think the thing I use the least is the highlighter. I do kind of wish maybe, I don't know, this shade's a little bit weird, this darker shade. I do use it to paint on like a little bit of a contour when I do use it all over the face. And it's like okay for that, but it's also like very green. So I'm just gonna use the under eye concealer. I don't feel like covering my brows and I like to use this one under my eyes. So my skin looks so good. I take a little bit of leftover product and try to press it over. That's a little bit better. But I also think maybe there's something going on with the pores on my nose because I just feel like they look enormous. So I might need to put some like pore tightening stuff on there. That's my update on this. I try really hard to pay attention to what I choose to go over to that drawer for and use a lot, and I do choose this. I'm thinking in my next rotation of the everyday makeup drawer, I am going to include some things from the testing drawer to kind of give it like a kind of like a oh, if you were in my makeup collection, how often would I use you? There's some makeup over there that will not get the privilege to be in my everyday makeup drawer because it's like I don't care enough about it. That's the Decorte concealer, really beautiful. I have noticed with this concealer that it does like to be set right away. So I am just gonna apply a little to my under eye of powder, the Charlotte Tilbury brightening powder, and just have that set. But we're gonna use some cream products. This is very exciting because I didn't think I was ever gonna get it. We all love phytosurgence. A lot of us love phytosurgence. It has a product called the Spectral Shine, and I besmirched this product a long time on my channel. At the end of last year, I decided to buy it again because I think I bought one, the wrong shade, two, I had wrong expectations for the product. And I have been using, this is the shade Divine Daylight. I did depot it. I've been loving it. And I kind of use it as what a lot of people use like the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter for. It's just a filter for my cheek area. And what I like to do with it is I take a very dense brush, I swirl and get as much of the product as I can on the end of my brush, and I press it into my cheek area to prep the skin. It does some soft blurring, soft focusing, and adds like a glow, but not something really super shiny. It's really, really natural looking. Kind of will just like add to what this foundation is already doing, this really gorgeous soft glow here. I love this product. I've been really enjoying it. But there was never really a shade in there that I think was perfect for me, but they teased on their Instagram a shade called Cool Candlelight, and they ended up releasing it, and I did buy it, but it's had a treacherous road getting here. I bought it before any of the tariff stuff would happen in hopes to avoid any issues getting it. You know, they shipped it out. It came into the United States really quickly. It went somewhere. And it was just kind of like, there was no accounting for it. It like made it to Indianapolis, then it just like disappeared for a while. And then it literally showed up on my doorstep today. So I'm excited to use it. It's so pretty. It's just, I have a little bit of a pink undertone to my skin, and I think this is going to be a lot better. Divine Daylight is almost like a pre-bronze for me. I think this is going to look a lot more at one of my skin. So we'll see. Let's use it today. The brush I have been using to apply, I mean, obviously any dense brush that you have would work, but I think a really dense foundation brush is what I would use. They sell a brush pretty similar to this one, a duo fiber brush that they normally apply this product with. I think, is that what they apply it with? I think that's what they apply it with. They made a brush for it, and I think that was the brush. I've been using the Sigma F80 brush, and I do have a code with Sigma if you ever buy anything from there. I might not have a code anymore. I don't know. I very rarely sell Sigma product. I'm just gonna take it, and I'm like literally going to like get as much product as I can. This product is very dense and firm, so you can kind of be a little bit violent with it. You just want to make sure that the product is like loaded into the brush. So you can see how it's like a little bit pink, a little bit tinted, and I'm just gonna press it into the skin. Oh yeah. Just a little bit of blurring, a little bit more glow. Oh my God, this is so good. Okay, yeah, this one is so much more appropriate for my skin tone. This is the side that has the Cool Candlelight. This is the side that does not have it. Do you see how it's just a little bit amped up, but it also is like a little more blurred than this side? It's a great product, but this color is banging. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna zoom you back out a little bit. I'm gonna apply it to my other cheek. I've also been applying it to center my forehead. Honestly, I think it made the foundation look a little bit better. I'm not gonna touch my nose. I keep saying I'm literally not gonna touch my nose. Oh, it's like so much better for my skin tone. But I mean, Divine Daylight's great. I had one that had more of like a yellow tone to it. I think it was called Fresh Fog, or Fresh Fog is like the one that's completely white. And I'm not sure. I had one that was like a little more yellow. Whatever the fairest one that looks a little bit yellow is, that's the one I originally had. And Divine Daylight is a little bit darker than that. Oh my God. I don't know why I took this out, but I'm going to contour real quick with phytosurgence's intuition. I don't know what's going on. It's a chaotic journey over here. I did intend on filming the Mob review this weekend, but then I forgot my cousin's child's birthday was this weekend, and I forgot that I had committed to going to that, and I did. And then I had my parents over for dinner last night. The Mob review is probably gonna take me a while to film, to be able to get all the things I need, but I can do it all in one sitting. It's just gonna take a while, and I like did not have any consistent time to film it. So I'm gonna film it this weekend. It's gonna be great. I have a lot of thoughts for you on Mob, so get ready for that. Some good, some terrible. I'm only re-featuring one Trixie product in this video, and it's gonna be the cream bronzer. I love this thing. I love the finish of it. I love the way it looks on my skin. I have not really stopped thinking about it or talking about it to anyone who would listen to me. I don't understand how this looks like this in the pan And then on my skin, it looks so natural and not super yellow like it should. Like, incredible. I feel like that lady who had like the sponge paint things, you know what I'm talking about? It's like my favorite cream bronzer I've ever used. I feel like I'm pretty tentative when I talk about bronzer. I don't know. I would choose this for a cream bronzer like every time. The formula is so good. I also am like happy that I was able to like show some of the Trixie stuff to you. I guess I didn't realize that there was seemingly little content out there about Trixie's makeup from people who like aren't, you know, just Trixie fans. Like I didn't understand that. And so a lot of you from that video, and myself included after I did that video, were like, maybe I shouldn't turn my eyes at Trixie Cosmetics. Maybe there's some stuff there. And I think that's the takeaway that we should all have from that video. A lot of it was so good, and if you were interested in the market for something that they're offering, it might be a good source. But this cream bronzer, like, is it. It's the whole moment for me. I love it. It's the only bronzer I've been wearing since I got it. I also do want to do a quick swatch comparison. So I have the shade Sunkissed in the Trixie bronzer, and I think it's actually quite close to the bronzer in this Auric palette, Cactus Wood. Not the color, but the formula is pretty similar. So that's the Trixie one. Again, looks super orange on my skin. And then that's the one from Auric. And the Auric one always looks a little green to me, but they both do that thing where they warm up the skin really naturally, but there's not a high pigment load to them whenever they're blended out. They remind me a lot of each other. And the Auric palette, as of right now, the refills are not available, so you would not be able to just buy the pan of the Auric one. And I don't know, I do think blended out on my face, I do prefer the Trixie one. They reminded me of each other. When I was like doing my makeup the other day, I was like using the Trixie one and I was like, kind of reminds me of that Auric one, but obviously color-wise, they're quite different. The one from Auric is much more neutral. The thing about growing out my hair that I hate, that I'm hating, is that just there's hair everywhere. And the weird part is there's always just been hair everywhere. There's always in HMT headquarters, always there's hair everywhere all the time. Y'all, I'm really living. I'm live, laugh, loving. Foundation's now been on my face for a bit. Do you see what I mean? Like from where you're sitting, it looks great. My friend Andromeda weirdly bought the Dior stick like the same day I did, but we didn't tell each other, but I like featured it. And they were like, I just bought that. And they said that they were having similar issues to me as far as like where it was laying in pores. But they also said the longer you have it on, the more that goes away and it just looks really, really nice. I hate that as a quality in foundation. An hour in is like where it looks its best. But like, what about that hour where it doesn't look its best? I hate that we have to, I want it to look good upon application. Oh, also an update on Trixie Cosmetics. They added me to the PR list, which is really lovely. They really liked the video and they appreciated like the feedback I offered on the things I offered feedback on, and they were excited to see that I was excited about it. And so that's really lovely. Trixie's going on tour with Solid Pink Disco and she's coming to Pittsburgh. And I may or may not be going. Not due to my own wallet, not because of the Trixie Cosmetics video. God, I wish. There's so much stuff I haven't told you about yet. I was very brave. And I decided that I deserved a little treat. So I did buy myself a little makeup treat. And I'm going to talk you through how I ended up with it. Westman Atelier released 2 what they called limited edition shades, but I don't think that they're limited anymore. I actually don't know which one the other shade was that launched with this, but there was 2 shades, and one of them was the shade Garconne. And the only person on the internet that I saw that had it was Lauren May Beauty. Lauren has a little bit more of a golden undertone, and the reason I know this is, well, one, I've met her in person. Lauren and I both got a Patrick Ta foundation from Kelly Gooch when we were in Palm Springs, and I decided which color would work best for me and Lauren, and I got one that was a little more pink, and the one that was a little more yellow went to Lauren, and it looked perfect on her. She doesn't like that foundation, but it looked perfect on her. When she would swatch it on her skin and blend it out, it looked like a berry purple. And I don't love a berry purple. I know I'm like talking about a lot of content creators, but like I'm just painting a picture. So I watch a lot of beauty content. I watch a lot of the people that I mentioned. So Hannah Louise Poston did a video where she tried a bunch of Lauren May Beauty's favorites. It's a big web. It's like all of us pointing at each other like that Spider-Man meme. And when she put it on, I was like, that is exactly what I wanted Garconne to be, but I couldn't tell that Garconne was. So my friend and I were at the mall and we were like, you know, in Sephora for literally 3 hours, just swatching things and hooting and hollering. We were really taking our time. There was like no rush. I swatched it in store and it's so gorgeous. It's a mauve. It's very similar to basically all of my other favorite blushes. I will pull out some other blushes to just show you. I already swatched this on Instagram against something, so if you were on Instagram and you saw those, it's basically going to be the same thing. Garconne is this one on the far left. On the far left, that's Garconne. Then this is Mimi, also from Westman Atelier. This is Condensate from Phytosurgence. And then this one right here is the Chanel Beige Mauve Blush Harmony Blush that came out a couple summers ago. It is a little more purple. I would say it's a little less daring than Condensate, but Condensate on my skin tone looks like a really natural flush. Anyway, that's Garconne compared to a bunch of other things. I'm really glad Hannah swatched this and put this on her face, and I kind of got a better idea of it. Luckily, the Sephora that we were at had Garconne, and it had its own display, and it didn't say limited edition or anything. So I'm guessing that it is a permanent product now. I don't know that it was always intended to be a permanent product, but it seems to be now. So it doesn't seem like there has to be a rush to go buy this product if you want to think about it. I'm just going to apply it from a brush to my face. I know, you're probably all saying, Tom, it looks like a freaking other blush you own. It's so good. I'm going to build it up a little bit. This is where I would stop if I was just wearing it for myself in real life. But for the camera, I'll add a little bit more so you can see it. It's kind of like, because of my undertone, it's what I wanted Mimi to be, I think. When I bought Mimi, I wanted this like corpsey looking blush, and Mimi isn't corpsey. It is, I think, a little more just skin tone-y than Garconne is, but I think on my skin, Garconne does what I think Mimi does for people who have like warmer undertones than I do. Look at, it's so stunning. Also, what you can see here, it's on top of that Trixie blush, and you can see it's not, the Trixie blush isn't registering so warm on my skin that this cool bruisey blush is like, it's not clashing with it. It's blending it in with it quite well. Even though it was a little treaty, because it's just like, I survived January, which was really why I bought it. I was like, okay, I survived January. I deserve a little treat. I'm not gonna do that every month, but like, are you kidding? Like, that's the life we have to live. Anyway. Okay. Moving right along. Now, another Hannah Louise Poston inspired, not purchase, but revisiting today. In a recent video, Hannah featured the Auric palette. She pulled out this and then she used the highlighter in here, which I have been just very meh on. And I've only used a handful of times, but she applied it to her skin and it looked so good. And it had me like revisiting these Auric palettes, which I really haven't given the time of day because I just like don't care. But I know a lot of people really like them. So I'm going to apply it with my finger because that's what she did. And it looked just like ethereal and glowing and a little bit blinding. And I was like, the hell? It never looked like that on me. Basically, Hannah inspired most of my cheek. It's a little chalky, but I'm going to use Fix Plus at the end of this look, which I need to re-up on Fix Plus, like in a major way. It's like pretty, but also I don't love it. Like, I don't know. I don't know that it's doing a lot of good for my skin texture. Although this side is not looking as bad as this side. Maybe I just applied a little bit too much. It needs to be built up, maybe in soft layers. It's just, it looks so golden in there. Like, it looks so gold. I'm not talking about the balm. The balm, I can give or take. But, like, it doesn't look super golden on my skin. And that didn't impress me as much as I thought. I just, like, watched Hannah use it, and I was like, maybe I need to reassess. Like, it's pretty, but it's, again, not really doing much for me. No, it's not, I don't know. The other highlighters I've tried more recently have been much more my zhuzh than that. We're still talking about highlighter right now, but I'm not applying it to my face, but I do need to, we need to have a little bit of a talk, and I also need to show you this launch. So bellabeautebar, and I'm going to use the eyeshadow palette on my eyes, but the highlighters I'm not going to use on my face because they're just much like the Trixie highlighter. It's just like not to my taste in highlighter. You may or may not know that the Morally Grey collection came out from bellabeautebar, and there was a couple of different items in it, and there were 2 highlighters, and one of the highlighters is called Skin of a Killer. And if you've been watching me since like October or before, but if you've been around at least since October, you'll know that one of my favorite eyeshadows of all time is the shade Skin of a Killer from bellabeautebar. And you might be like, Tom, why are you making such a distinction? Well, the reason I'm making a distinction is because there is a distinction. I was really excited whenever bellabeautebar announced that they were doing like a large pan of Skin of a Killer, and then we're going to kind of present it as a highlighter. A large pan of Skin of a Killer is my dream. I need it. I want it. I would like to have it. And I do. They sent this all over to me in PR. I do have an affiliated code with bellabeautebar. It's just hautemesstom. It would get you 10% off. There's also another highlighter called Morally Grey. In my opinion, these are both eyeshadows. That's how I would use them. But you are allowed to love sparkly highlighter if that's your gig. I was curious when I got them that I was just like, I'm wondering if they are exactly the same. And they are a little different, which makes sense if this was formulated to be a highlighter. So I'll swatch them both for you. The highlighter will be on my index finger and the eyeshadow is going to be on my middle finger. So kind of what you can see right away is that the highlighter has a bit of a base pigment to it, and Skin of a Killer, the eyeshadow, has no base pigment to it. Hopefully that we'll be able to pick. This is the highlighter here, and then Skin of a Killer, the eyeshadow, is on the more center part of my hand. There's just something like punched up in the highlighter, and it's not the same. You can also see the remnant on my fingers. That Skin of a Killer, the eyeshadow, just gives you a wet look, and then the highlighter is like a little bit more of a silver. It's not exactly the same. I think the highlighter is still very pretty, and if you like blend it out enough, you get that piecey effect, but I'm still a bigger fan of the eyeshadow, and I really do kind of wish that this was just a big pan of the eyeshadow. Feeling like a human after January was really hard, or during January. The government doesn't seem to think that I am a human, and that was like really hard to take on. And then showing up as a content creator was like also very hard. So I'm really sorry that I like didn't get this up closer to launch. I'm not sure what's still in stock, but I have worn this collection a couple of times off camera. This is Morally Grey, and I was hoping that Morally Grey would be Skin of a Killer eyeshadow, but a little bit pink. I don't know. It's actually quite an interesting texture. Like the other highlighter in the pan does not look like that. There's a little bit, I think, of like a multi-chrome situation happening in this highlighter, or just like lots of different colors of sparkle. And so there's the remnant. I would wear this as an eyeshadow. I probably wouldn't wear this all over my face. I have worn it all over my face. It's just not my thing. As we learned with the Trixie video, like it's like I'm gonna wear that as an eyeshadow. Oh, I should have pulled that out. We'll revisit that another time. I'll swatch, because like Skin of a Killer, well, actually, I actually have swatches. I'll put the little video here of Skin of a Killer highlighter, Skin of a Killer eyeshadow, and then also Cold Shoulder from Trixie. So you can just kind of see them compared. I just wanted to let you know about Skin of a Killer before moving on to the eyeshadow palette, the Morally Grey eyeshadow palette. Look at the size of this. 9 pans. 9 pans. 9 pans. Whenever they announced the launch of this eyeshadow palette, I did kind of like think that I missed a plot line in my own life. And I kind of had the thought, I was like, did I do a collab with bellabeautebar and like forget about it? And it's coming out and I like am not ready for that. But that isn't what happened, because I don't know. I mean, I know I've been more into pink recently, but like it's kind of like gray. It's really pretty. It comes in heart-shaped pans. I know that some people like don't love a heart-shaped pan. I'm okay with the heart-shaped pan. Well, actually, it is a little bit annoying to get a brush in there, I won't lie. But I just realized I didn't powder my face, so I'm going to powder my face real quick. Just using the Hourglass powder. Honestly, I think that's the first time it's took well to powder. It's in my pores, and the powder is looking a little bit in the pores. Fix Plus will bring this home in a way that I don't think Fix Plus has brought this home yet. I'm going to prime my eyes with the NARS Smudge Free eyeshadow base, and then we'll get started. One thing I wish bellabeautebar would do is change the font on the eyeshadows. It is always hard for me to read. Moral Compass is this matte beige. I'm going to put that all over the lids just to prime my eyes. And so here's kind of what I'm talking about with it. Like, it's kind of just annoying to get my brush in there. I really didn't think it would bother me. In the highlighters, it doesn't really bother me because the pan is big enough. Let me zoom you in a little. I forgot we're doing eyeshadow with a new palette. But like, I feel like I have to go in diagonally to these pans. It is weird. I like just wasn't expecting it to really annoy me, and it really kind of does annoy me. But I appreciate it, as I assume this is like their Valentine's Day release. I think I appreciate just something different, but it's not so different, and there's still removable magnetic things so you can put them in your palettes. And if you really give a fart about that and you're someone who like represses eyeshadows into pans, you're gonna do that anyway. I've used this eyeshadow palette a couple times. It's the same bellabeautebar quality. Like, you know, it does everything I want a Bella Beauté bar palette to do. I really thought I would want to reach for it more. I've had to make myself use it, which doesn't mean I don't like the quality of it or whatever. I just feel like the looks that I have been attracted to doing recently have been a little strayed away from this. Okay, so I'm gonna take Ambivalence, which is this baby pink right here. I'm just gonna use that as a transition. As always with Bella Beauté bar, the mattes are super blendable, buildable pigmentation with the colors. I will say that because these are a little more cool toned, a little more desaturated colors, I do think to get more of the color to show up, it does take a little more building up than usual with Bella Beauté bar eyeshadows. And this is like a pastel-y kind of pink, so it has a lot of white in it, and I think it's just not gonna be the most. I would probably just use it to blend out things, not to be the star of the show, but you can see it there. I'm now gonna go into the shade Mixed Feelings, which is a pretty like pink taupe color. I definitely feel like this eyeshadow palette's a little more specific and has a little bit less broad appeal because those shades are very, very light. And I did build some dimension on my eye, but it's definitely not very pigmented, but we are going to go into some deeper colors down here. I'm going to go into the Shades of Grey, of course, and I'm going to deepen out the crease a little bit with that and kind of focus it mostly on the outer portion of my eyes. This palette calls for smoky eye. Then I'm gonna go into Not a Hero, which is this really dark charcoal. It might be a black, but it looks more charcoal to me. It looks more gray than it does black. It's a very soft smoky eye, which is like very my speed. I do fear that there's not enough depth here for all skin tones. And that might just be because it's a 9 pan. You know, it's just kind of like much more specific. I think the shimmers will be good for all skin tones. I just think with the first 3 shades, they like showed up on me. There's like pigment there, but they were just very, very light. And I might have been able to build them up, but I feel like they didn't really want to super build up. Bella Beauté bar has so many beautiful color stories. This is really basic B kind of stuff. I mean, if this isn't your thing, check out their other eyeshadow palettes. While it feels very basic, it's feeling much more specific as well, if that makes sense. I've used a couple, well, I think have I used all of the shades on my eyes? Looks like I have. Now I can't remember. I think I'm just gonna put Indecisive all over my lids. That is very pretty. We're gonna do a sparkle cam with that. Let me put it on the other eye. And I'm gonna take the shade Bittersweet, which is the center shade. I'm gonna put that on the inner corner. I'm gonna do sparkle cam. No blur, just lighting coming from the flashlight in my phone. Sorry, I just want to take a look at my forehead. Actually looks pretty good. Now I'm gonna add some blur. Look at all the sparkle colors in there. So pretty. It's kind of like a lavender version of Ice Blink from Shine by SD. I'm gonna throw on eyeliner and mascara and then we'll talk about lip product. Okay, I used the Victoria Beckham Ash eyeliner. I used the e.l.f. Lash Extender mascara. And then I just lined my lips with the Mob M159 liner. Let's talk about these CoverGirl Lip Plumpers, which I featured in a short, and a lot of you asked questions in there. Unfortunately, on YouTube Shorts, you can't add like a lot to the description, but on Instagram, I kind of give a brief review of these. So CoverGirl sent these to me in PR, and if you haven't seen the short, go check that out if you want to see all of the shades swatched. This is their Clean Fresh Yummy Plumper Gloss, and today I'm going to be using the shade Pixie Dust. It has a big fat applicator. Whenever I do lip swatches or I swatch products I'm not intending on keeping, I'm going to be keeping the shade of this, I use a disposable applicator. I will say I do feel like they very specifically picked this applicator for this. It applies and I think also picks up product while you're swiping it on your lips to give you a very thin layer of product. I think of any of the lip plumpers that I have tried, this has the thinnest formula. The shades that have the glitter particles in them, I would say the glitter particles are pretty finely milled. I can't feel them. I've worn straight up glitter on my lips, so I don't think I'm the best person to judge whether or not you can feel the glitter particles. It has kind of like a mentholy, cough droppy scent and flavor. It's kind of like, I would say almost like the cherry cough drops. It's also a little bit sweet. Like if you get it on your tongue, it's a little bit sweet, but also it's spicy because of like the mentholy lip plumper aspect to it. I don't think it plumps my lips a ton, but I think it does a little bit of plumping. And I will say, even after I lip swatched all of them in that short, and I did that all in one sitting, my lips were a little bit dry afterward, but that makes sense because it was like removing them and applying and removing them, applying. Overall, I don't think my lips were like in terrible shape after applying. I think there's, I don't remember how many shades are, 10 or 12 shades of them. It's got like a cooling menthol. It dissipates after a while. You're left with a very thin gloss. So it's not my favorite lip plumper. I do prefer the City Lips lip plumper, but I like that as a prep step and it feels like a completely different thing. When it comes to this, it's a lot spicier than the City Lips. It is a lot spicier. They are not like one for one. I wouldn't buy this to replace this, but if this is out of your price range and you were looking for a lip plumper, you might want to try it. There's one that's blue, but it's not pH adjusting. Essentially a clear lip gloss when you put it on your lips. Go with that if you wanted to, but it's not the same experience. This also smells wretched. This, I think, still smells worse. I've gotten used to it, but it smells terrible. It's so, ugh. This smells better, surprisingly, even though it's like a menthol lip plumper. I don't know, whatever the lip plumping action of this is, does more for my lips and looks better as a prep step. You know, it's like, I wouldn't use it as my finishing gloss, but I like it as a prep step, but they're not, I wouldn't consider them dupes. I would consider this more akin to the Charlotte Tilbury Plumpgasm. I do prefer the Charlotte Tilbury Plumpgasm, but I think this applicator is more refined. I'll show you, because this formula is a lot thinner and it comes out really well on that applicator, but the Charlotte Tilbury is really messy. You can like even tell from just like it's gloopy and messy. I do like it. You can tell I've used a ton of it. I've used it almost all the way up. This is a much less intense plump than the Plumpgasm, but that might be better for some of you. If you can handle a little tingle, this would be the better option. This tingles on my lips for like 20 minutes. This only tingles for like a couple minutes, already dissipating on my lips. I do think it plumps a little bit, not as much as this. I don't think nearly as much as the City Lips. I think it's a pretty good product for the price point. I believe these are about $12 or $13. I like it, but not replacing any of my favorite lip plumpers. I forgot that I got these. I got these in the mail. Urban Decay sent me these. So they sent me the Ultra Matte All-Nighter, and they also sent me a small regular All-Nighter. My thought was we could spray one side of my face and spray the other. Is that something we're interested in? Let me know in the chat. We can do it. It's fine. I'm going to spray the regular one. I have an already opened regular one. We'll spray that on this side of my face, and then we will spray my other side of my face with the matte. I think if you look up here, the foundation looks really good. It actually looks really good where I sprayed it. So I just feel like this foundation needs a lot of assistance to work its best, which is so strange. It just feels like a little bit fussy. Ugh, look at my cheek though. Look at it on my cheek. I mean, I have a lot of, again, other product on there, but like, look at that cheek. Oh, I've used this before. I think I've panned one of these. They said it was new, but Ultra Matte was there whenever I worked at Sephora. So maybe it's an updated formula. You ever buy this and you have not tried I would say for any matte setting spray, the reason it's a matte setting spray is that there's a powder component to it, and the powder needs to be agitated and completely incorporated every time you use it. I don't know if you remember when this launched, or I don't know, it was another matte setting spray launched. People were getting those like white bits all over the face. It was like the powder inside the product doing that. Okay, so just make sure if you are using a matte setting spray, you shake it all the way up. I was a little too close to my face with the first spray. But yeah, the sprayer on this one, it wasn't as good as the sprayer on the big one. I will say that. It was a little more aggressive. And I am getting close to the end of that full-size all-nighter, which was also received in PR. This side of my face is a little bit tighter. That makes sense with the mattifying. I don't know that either one of them ended up on the direct middle part of my forehead. So let's do that. So I definitely think that my pores look better on the matte side. And I don't think it like dimmed the glow too much actually of anything happening over here. Like I still think it looks like I have like a radiant skin over here. And then over here, it's obviously a lot more glowy and I don't think my pores look as good. Here's what I will also say though. This side is less comfortable physically. Like I can feel the setting spray on this side. I can feel a little bit on this side, but not too much. But like I can certainly feel this side of my face with the setting spray. And I think this side in person looks better than this side. Not that this is cakey or anything. I just like the way that this side looks a little bit better. I like that radiance. Matte always is going to read better on camera than something glowy because glow does make your pores look a little bit bigger. But not that this is a glowy finish, but it's like this the finish of everything that was on my face already. I certainly prefer this, but this is not something that's entirely undoable. You know, here's my forehead. I think it looks okay. It's looked worse, and my nose looks better. Now, there is something to this foundation sitting on your face for a little bit. I think there is something to that. Let me zoom you out. We'll do like a quick run through of how I'm feeling now. The Merit Primer is already part of my makeup collection, so I don't really want to harp on that. So the foundation. Yeah, I do think there's something to this being on my skin a little bit longer. Makes it look a little bit better. I'm not sure it's an entirely lost cause, but I don't think that for most of you, it would make sense to buy this product. Even my friends with dry skin who tried it, who DM'd me after I was like, what's going on with this foundation? I feel like a lot of them weren't super impressed with it. I think all of us have an agreement that it is a beautiful finish sometimes, but can look really terrible other times. Unreliable foundation like that is a friend to no one. I don't think it could be anyone's favorite foundation. I think you probably already have better foundations. So if this was something that was tempting you, I'm not sure that it's the one. It looks gorgeous on my cheeks. I love the Decorte concealer. I've been really getting on with this palette. I really thought Hindash was blowing smoke at my ass when he recommended it, but I keep choosing to use it. I think it's really beautiful. It's looking more and more like she might get invited into my makeup collection at some point. Like I really like it. I like it all over my face. It's like great. Baby, Cool Candlelight, Spectral Shine for phytosurgence is that girl. Oh my God, it's just the one. Divine Daylight's great, and I'm glad I got to try Divine Daylight again, but like Cool Candlelight, it's the best version of that thing that I could want. The Trixie bronzer is so good. It's so good. I mean, they're not the same product, but if like this Trixie bronzer is so much better than this Dior foundation is. It's wonderful. Wonderful. The shade Sunkissed. So great. Garconne from Westman Atelier. I already knew I liked this formula, but this color, incredible. Trying out the highlight from the Auric palette, it's fine. I really got sucked up into Hannah using it. I'm glad I already owned this palette when I watched Hannah use it. I was right. For me, this palette is still not doing it for me. I just want to say I'm so sad that Skin of a Killer is not the same in both forms. The eyeshadow palette. Everything about this palette should be my favorite palette. Like, I really think, like, it should be my favorite eyeshadow palette. I don't know that it is my favorite eyeshadow palette from bellabeautebar. If I'm choosing a palette from bellabeautebar that does this sort of thing, let me get it. I would choose this. This is their Smoky Glam palette. I don't know if this is in stock right now, but, like, you have so... and I don't like a big palette usually. It's not usually my preference, but there's a lot more depth here and a lot more options, I think, for a lot more people than I feel like this provides. And of course, yes, more shades is obviously going to offer you more looks to do. I'm just not sure that when it came to the mattes that the best selections were made, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I like these two deeper shades, but I think we need something more middle of the road because this shade is still pretty light and these two are very white based. So I wish there was just a little more dimension happening there. The sparkles are all pretty and they're gonna work on everyone's skin tone. It's just whatever your sparkle preference is. I love this shade on my eyes right now. I guess in my perfect world. This had 9 skins of a killer in it. And then this was also a just pink skin of a killer. And then also that this was the eyeshadow skin of a killer. I don't know. I think also I got my hopes too high. It's a great color story. I'm like into it. I've not been reaching for it. Whenever I first got this palette, I reached for it all the time. This Smoky Glam palette is so good. I'm unsure on this. I guess I just, you know, I just wish I loved it more than I do. And I wish I was more excited about it now that I have it. And of course, you know, some things have come into my makeup world since I got this. And it did come to me in a deep state of depression. I'm not gonna lie. So maybe that has something to do with it. So I might need to just leave this on my vanity and be like, play with this some more. But I do think it has a lot of limitations. And I don't feel like all 9 pans have a lot of limitations, but I think this is a pretty limiting palette. The lip gloss from CoverGirl, it's great. It's a little thinner than I like my lip gloss formula to be. But I think it does the job. It does the ticket. I think a lot of people will agree with this. It's not super intense, in my opinion. There are much more intense plumpers. It's not the most plumping, so it's like the family-friendly version of a lip plumper. I think CoverGirl did a good job with it. Oh, my friends, I've been filming for a very long time, so I do need to, in fact, wrap up this video. So thank you so much for watching. If you happen to be new to my channel, I do get makeup to review in PR, and I also do buy makeup to review sometimes, and sometimes I buy makeup as a little treat. But my ultimate goal on my channel is to help you and me be more discerning about the makeup purchases that we are making. I do a lot of focusing on what I already have, which is why I want to do that versus video where I use some old stuff, use some new stuff, and show you on both sides of my face that the stuff that I already have is incredible. And you probably already have very incredible makeup in your collection because I think you know what you like and you know what works for you. Why is that new thing gonna add to what you already have? And sometimes that will add something, but a lot of times we have really good stuff. A lot of times we have the colors that we already like. So it's food for thought. So if you're not subscribed already, I would love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. I am on Patreon and I have channel memberships over there. I do one additional video every month. So if you're into that sort of thing, go check it out. If you're not, no problem. I'm just so happy that you are here liking, commenting, and sharing my content. I have a pinned comment. In that comment, there will be links to help a couple of different organizations to help people in Gaza, to help people in the LA fires, and also an organization that's local to me in Pittsburgh, Sisters Pittsburgh, which is a Black trans-led organization helping trans people in Pittsburgh. So if you have the money to help any of those causes, I would really appreciate you supporting them. And that is going to wrap up my video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to follow your haute, and you'll find me, and I'll see you in a video very soon. Go forth to doubt.